we go.
Do you want to read the translation? Are we beginning now?
Yes, I should introduce first.
Okay, all right.
So welcome to Verse Virtual's April Poetry Month reading and open mic. Today we have a really special treat. We've got two features who are going to do a joint presentation, Liana Sakelliou and Aliki Barnstone, and they're going to do it jointly, so no one is really going first or second. So let me introduce both of them since they're going to be going back and forth. Liana Sakelliou, and I'm sorry if I'm murdering your name, is a poet.
I'll say it for you. It's Sakelliou.
Sakelliou.
Yeah.
Sakelliou is a poet, translator, critic, and editor. She's the author of 29 books, a library all to herself. She is the translator into modern Greek of Emily Dickinson, H.D., Denise Levertov, and Gary Snyder. Among her awards are 2 Fulbright Fellowships in the U.S., the Stanley J. Seeger Visiting Research Fellowship at Princeton University, and a residency at Westdean College, University of Sussex. She is Emerita Professor of English and Creative Writing at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens and teaches international poetry and creative writing at the Takis Sinopoulos Foundation. She served as member of the board of Hellenic Authors Society and as president for the European Prize for Literature. Aliki Barnstone is an open genre writer, editor, and visual artist. Her most recent books are Eva, Voices of an Imaginary Poet, translated from Greek to English by Liana Sakelliou, and her translation of Sakelliou's Portrait Before Dark. She co-edited a book of women poets from antiquity to now, and among her awards are 2 Fulbright Fellowships in Greece. She and Sakelliou are co-writing a book, Spin, Measure, and Cut, about being kids in Greece during the military dictatorship, 1967 to 74. She teaches the University of Missouri and served as Poet Laureate of Missouri from 2016 to 2019. Take it away.
Okay, Liana, Pame. We start with Seferis?
Just, yes, the second stanza. I'll just sing it since you asked me to do that. Okay, thank you so much for your wonderful introduction. And I'm so glad I am with you today. It's night here. It's 9 o'clock. And I am on Poros Island, which is not far from Athens. So, άρνηση. Στο περιγιάλι το κρύφο κι άστρο στον περιστέρι διψάσομαι το μεθυμέρι μα το νερό γλύφω πάνω στην άμμο την ξανθή γράψαμε το όνομά της ωραία που φύσηξαν ο μπάτης και σβήστηκε η γράφη με τη καρδιά, με την πνοή. Τι φόβο Hedy pathos. Ira metizoimas lathos. Yala damezo. Thank you for listening. It's a poem by George Seferis, and the music is by Mikis Theodorakis, and it's Aliki's favorite. So here we are, Aliki.
I have to, it is, as I was saying to everyone, this is I don't think there's someone of Greek descent who knows the history or who is Greek who doesn't get tearful. You can look up that it's George Seferis and translate, the title is Denial and it's translated by Edmund Keeley and Philip Sherrard. Okay, I have to collect myself. We're going to start off with this is Eva Voices. I'm going to read. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have to, okay, so are you going to, you're going to introduce what the book is briefly?
It's an imaginary poet. Her name is Eva, and she lived in the beginning of the 20th century, and she was Jewish, so she always felt the threat of the Nazi Germans coming to get her. So she hid on an island, and this is a beautiful poem that Aliki composed, and it's called the Market Song. And the Greeks love their markets, their open markets. And here is a seller who is going to, he's going to portray his beautiful things so that people can buy from him. But it's always something, it's a dual thing because together with the things they buy a different freedom, a different air of freedom after the Nazis left Greece. And it's beautifully rendered by Aliki. So, and it's the first poem in her collection, which I translated into Greek. And we entitled it Eva's poems. So Aliki.
Okay, and then you'll read okay.
Yes, I'll read it in Greek.
Market Song. Come on, ladies, come on, girls, come taste my olives, my little black pearls. Come on, buy greens from my fields. Hey, my eyes, hey, my soul, forget your grief. Everything's fresh, fresh, fresh. I've got arugula and spinach leaf, freesia, red lettuce, celery, parsley, basil, dill. I've got the best quality, hey, little girls, the best deals if you will buy from me. Wheel your cart over here, my sweetheart. Just picked today, today, today. Rosy grapes, black grapes, green grapes. Once we Greeks were slaves. Now we've escaped all that. Hey, lovely girls, look all so good. Once our lives in Greece were poor. Look here, fresh fruit right off the tree. Smell my oranges, my sweet pears, 3 kinds of apples and sticky black figs. Come on, ladies, come on, good wives, come to my stall. Look at all I have. Sharpest knives, mops and brooms, coffee pots and socks, dustbins, dish towels and tablecloths, underwear, t-shirts, blouses, beautiful scarves. Hey, ladies, hey, girls, once all of us starved. And what did you eat today? And what will you cook? Come look. I have flowers, flowers, flowers. Come on, my golden one, my soul, my eyes. See these pinks in pots for your garden? They attract butterflies. Come, take my flowers for your table. I picked them today, today, today. No more slaves, no more lies. Come on, darling, come on, my soul. Eat my souvlaki hot from the coals. Listen, my sweethearts, my golden ones. Long ago, soldiers showed you their guns and took your jewels in the busiest city square. Hey, ladies. Hey, little girls. Today, all's for sale in the open air.
And her text in Greek.
Mm.
Τραγούδι της Λαϊκής. Ελάτε κυρίες μου, ελάτε κορίτσια μου, ελάτε να φάτε τις ελιές μου, τα μαύρα μαργαριταράκια μου. Ελάτε να αγοράσετε χόρτα από τα χωράφια μου, ματάκια μου, ψυχούλα μου, διώξε τη λύπη. Εδώ όλα είναι φρέσκα, φρέσκα, φρέσκα. Έχω σπανάκι, έχω ρόκα, έχω βασιλικό στη γλάστρα, αντίδια, κόκκινα λάχανα, σέλινο, μαϊντανό και άνηθο. Έχω τα καλύτερα, για ελάτε κορίτσια. Από εμένα ό,τι πάρετε θα είναι το καλύτερο. Γλυκιά μου εσύ, για σύρε το καροτσάκι σου κοντά μου. Φρεσκοκομμένα όλα σήμερα, σήμερα, σήμερα. Φίλια ροζακιά, χρυσάφια μαύρα. Δούλοι παλιά ήμασταν οι Έλληνες, μα τώρα τη γλιτώσαμε. Κούκλες, για δέστε τι όμορφα όλα που είναι. Κάποτε εμείς οι Έλληνες πεθαίναμε στην ψάθα. Για δέστε φρούτα μόλις που τα κόψα από το δέντρο. Για μυρίστε τα πορτοκάλια, τα χλάδια μου, τα βουτυράτα. Τριόλογιο μήλα έχω και σίκα βασιλικά. Για ελάτε κυρίες, για ελάτε κοκόνες μου. Για πλησιάστε να δείτε την πραμάτια μου. Μαχαίρια κοφτερά και σφουγγαρόπανα και σκούπες και μπρίκια του καφέ και τάλτσες, τραπεζομάντιλα, φαράσια, πετσέτες, ασπρόρουχα, μπλουζάκια, πουκάμισα, τσεμπέρια. Κυρίες μου, κορίτσια μου, παλιά σοφούσαμε της πείνας. Σήμερα, τι μου έφαγες, τι μου μαγείρεψες σήμερα. Για δέστε, έχω λουλούδια, λουλούδια, λουλούδια. Έλα χρυσούλα μου, έλα ψυχούλα μου, έλα ματάκια μου. Κοίτα τα γαρίφαλα, για τις ζαρτινιέρες σου τραβούν πεταλούδες. Πάρε λουλούδια για το τραπέζι σου. Θα κόψα σήμερα, σήμερα, σήμερα. Όχι πια σκλάβη, τέρμα τα ψέματα. Έλα αγαπούλα μου, έλα ψυχούλα μου. Πάε καυτό απ' τα κάρβουνα σουβλάκι. Ακούστε αγαπούλες μου, ακούστε με χρυσά μου. Πολύ παλιά οι στρατιώτες πρότειναν τα όπλα τους και πέραν τα χρυσάφια σας στην κεντρική πλατεία. Κυράδες μου, κορίτσια μου, γλυκιά μου πελατεία, σήμερα όλα πουλιούνται υπαίθρια και σε τιμή ευκαιρίας.
Liana,
Thank you.
you've got the Greek, right? For the,
Yes,
okay.
the portrait.
Amen. Amen. So this is from our book, my translation of Liana's book, Portrait Before Dark. And I will read the English of the poems, and then Liana will read the Greek, and you will understand the context from what comes between. Okay? So here we go. Once again, music splits the air, and I'm afraid. Shall I dance fear? Shall I temper its vanity? Comets slice through dense leaves. Enormous tree trunks light up and snap. I recall when I thought we would be safe.
Πάλι η μουσική εκτρέπει τον αέρα και εγώ σκιάζομαι. Να χορέψω το φόβο, να μετριάσω την έπαρσή του. Μετεωρίτες σκίζουν φυλλώματα, πελώροι κορμοί αστράφτουν και σπάνε. Θυμάμαι κάποτε σκεφτόμουν πως θα ήμασταν ασφαλείς.
Much like Emily Dickinson, an HD whose work she translates magnificently, Liana Sakelliou is a poet of the ineffable. Hers is a feminist vision made palpable in the world of her poetry. Portrait Before Dark is and is not the story of Edward James and Tilly Losh's marriage and dissolution. It's about how the story is told, whose voice soars above the forest, and whose voice resists convention, which for women too often is a form of silencing. You can tell sundry stories about the same ways of making a life, the natural charm of the king, the mother, and their friends in photos along the corridors' walls. They sink behind the grove, committed to the dark earth. I can't discern the woods from the animals passing by, the bloodied ferns, the thudding in the foliage.
Υπάρχουν πολλοί τρόποι αφήγησης για τα ίδια μοντέλα ύπαρξης. Η φυσική γοητεία του βασιλιά, της μητέρας, των φίλων τους, στις φωτογραφίες των διαδρόμων. Βυθίζονται πίσω από συστάδες δέντρων, προσιλωμένων στη σκοτεινή γη. Δεν μπορώ να διαχωρίσω το δάσος από το πέρασμα των ζώων, τις αιμάτινες φτέρες, τον γουδούπο στις φιλοσιές.
It's about being in love and losing oneself in another person. It's about reclaiming the self. It's about the urge to bring children into the world and the choice not to. It's about the journey into the forest and about the earth. It's about climate change. No longer do I see the trees. I see your thoughts. A change of weather spreads over the forest. Birds glide. Night falls.
Δεν βλέπω πια τα δέντρα, βλέπω τη σκέψη σου. Η αλλαγή του καιρού απλώνεται παντού στο δάσος. Τα πουλιά μετεωρίζονται, η νύχτα πέφτει.
It's the 20th century. It's the 21st century. It doesn't stay fixed in time. Time drives you around with all its omens, and you're touched by the thread of a new story. Without a doubt, it moves you.
Ο χρόνος σε παίρνει με όλα του τα μεγέθη και εσύ αγγίζεσαι απ' την κλωστή μιας νέας αφήγησης. Αναμφίβολα σε συγκινεί.
It's England. It's Greece. It's everywhere, nowhere. You mount the stairs into myth. All I have to tell you is lost. I watch your torsos form, head tilted back, green eyes half closed. It's your choreography when you open the door, stretch out your hand, and I enter the woods in slow motion at your side.
Ανεβαίνεις στη σκάλα του μύθου. Όλα όσα έχω να σου πω χάνονται. Βλέπω τη γραμμή των ώμων, το κεφάλι γερμένο προς τα πίσω, τα πράσινα μάτια μισόκλειστα. Επινοείς τον χορό καθώς ανοίγεις την πόρτα. Απλώνεις το χέρι και αργόσιτα μπαίνω στο δάσος μαζί σου.
So too, these lines of poetry form the stairs, climb them, and rise protean into a new mythology. It's about the trees. It's not about a subject, but embodies subjectivity. Let's go back to the trees. The trees are a major actor in Portrait Before Dark. Raw refusal blows between us like temptation, like condemned castles. The anticipation of place is struggle. The forest refuses nothing, not even this.
Ακατέργαστη άρνηση πνέει ανάμεσά μας σαν πειρασμός, σαν απόκληρα κάστρα. Η προσμονή του χώρου, ένας αγώνας. Τίποτα δεν αρνείται το δάσος, ούτε κι αυτό.
The forest and the creatures it shelters have agency beyond human perception, even as human actions destroy it. The forest will know to be tender with me. When asked, What happened to you? The answer is a bizarre tree electrified me. Sakelliou's apocalyptic vision critiques the brutality of patriarchal wealth. Edward proclaims, something rises like smoke, and loosing its smelling musk, a red fox crosses the woods. Its tail catches fire. I'm a good shot.
Κάτι ανεβαίνει σαν καπνός και αχνοβολώντας, μια κόκκινη αλεπού διασχίζει το δάσος. Η ουρά της πιάνει φωτιά. Είμαι καλός σκοπευτής.
In this scene of smoke and fire, the wounded fox is not just pitiable, wrenching our hearts, but it is the beautiful, magical, and vulnerable animal sacrificed for sport, for the hunter's bragging rights. Perhaps this fox will be taken to the taxidermist and join the other woodland creatures decorating the halls of the castle. I can't help but feel that Tilly left the marriage to escape becoming a trophy. She half muses, half taunts. You watch me straightening my pleats, tying ribbons around my calves, and you pass into timelessness, waiting for me to close my eyes. I was once your wife, rich man. What did it mean? A titillating show, a vortex in your years. You did not beckon, you did not speak. You still don't say a word.
Με βλέπεις να ισιώνω πτυχές, να τυλίγω κορδέλες στις γάμπες και περνάς στην αιωνιότητα, περιμένοντάς με να κλείσω τα μάτια. Με εκείνα, κάποτε ήμουν η γυναίκα σου. Τι σήμαινε αυτό? Ένα ερεθιστικό έκθεμα? Μια δίνη μέσα στο χρόνο σου? Δεν έγνεψες, δεν μίλησες και ακόμα δεν λες λέξη.
Edward is not merely the bad guy here. Portrait Before Dark is far too nuanced for that kind of dichotomous thinking. He finds himself playing a role assigned to him by the accident of birth that conferred upon him wealth, privilege, and the tools and weapons to defend the way of life and death of his ancestors. Liana composed Portrait Before Dark in the aftermath of wildfires that consumed her neighborhood in 2009. Every year, we have borne witness to worsening drought, record heat, and wildfires. One summer, after visiting and working with Liana, I left Portos via the longer ferry route because the highway to Athens was impassable due to fire. The air was full of smoke and ash that floated above the sea, reflecting gray rather than blue. Last summer, Liana and her family had to evacuate their home north of Athens, and I could not return with my family to ours a few kilometers away. The sublime beauty of our motherland is burning away. The wide beaches disappearing. Greece, like Ukraine, like other small countries, is the fox, vulnerable to the actions and inactions of the superpowers. Our motherland isn't only Greece, it's everyone's motherland. Here, translated for all of you, wherever you are, is our exquisite, sad, hopeful, shared Portrait Before Dark. I wear sunglasses with owl frames. You have a robe wrapped around you, our honeymoon. Something in the emptiness, a light life streams above the other life. Only in brokenness does the light come in love from far away. The sea draws us to this. We don't know what we expose.
Φορώ γυαλιά ηλίου με σκελετό κοκκουβάγιας. Είσαι τυλιγμένο σε ένα μπουρνούζι, ο μήνας του μέλιτος. Υπάρχει κάτι στο κενό. Αχνίζει ανάλαφρη ζωή πάνω απ' την άλλη. Μόνο σε ό,τι σπάζει φαίνεται το φως. Αγάπη με τρόπο απόμακρο. Η θάλασσα μας τραβά προς αυτό. Δεν γνωρίζουμε τι ξεσκεπάζουμε.
So these are the I don't know if they're prose poems, they're flash nonfiction, there's dialogue, they're open genre. These are we are the same age. Well, actually, I'm 41 days older. Liana lived in Greece the whole time, and I lived there when I was 13 and later when I was 17. My parents were involved with dissident writers and intellectuals. And as I said earlier, they, with Edmund Keeley, translated a book called 18 Texts, which came out with Harvard University Press in 1972. Interestingly enough, neither Edmund Keeley, perhaps the most famous translator of modern Greek, his name wasn't on the book, and neither was my mom, because they both wanted to be able to return to Greece. I mean, my father wanted to too, but it was different for him because he wasn't living there. He did live there with us, but he could not go there and continue with his life in a way that Mike Keeley and my mother could not. So Liana's, it's called Spin, Measure, Cut, after the three fates. So the sisters. Liana?
The Olive Grove. A place of fullness where we fix the door that opens to the olive grove and to the embroidery of light. You might call it idiosyncratic, this type of entering, but the eye assures you it's the most wonderful place. Even the night is unreproachable as we amble driftless in flashes of memory, molecules, toys, and aches. Here we are, two girls, thimble-sized, practiced at the personal, tested by the theft of indivisible symbols. With brutal pageantry, they tamp down the risk of healing. Yet, we lean against a gnarled trunk, the leaves fluttering silver and green. We've rubbed oil on our skin, soothed the sores on our bare feet. When we touch the olive wood, shade and time in our palms, we are angered, anchored, transferred.
The three, how we have known in those junta days, we knew the olive grove's persistent nourishment was not a balm for the soles of the prisoners' feet, the beatings that radiated pain throughout the body, but left no scar. How could we know the fates wove us together years before? On their pale blue linen is a pattern, indiscernible and discernible at once, raised threads where our figures join the crowded story, sometimes holding hands, sometimes dancing, sometimes alone at the edge. One of us wears a burgundy polka dot dress, the other a blue hat and trousers. Did the seamstress finish her job, we wonder? We're on the island again, your island, my island. Darkest sunglasses blind the sea light at noon. Macronisos is uninhabited, the prison going to ruin and archaeology. Now the moon rises behind its towers, a reverie people admire, a palimpsest clouding torture. Now we're here, where the air delivers a different fate, different bodies swimming lucid and efficient despite the half-century lapse, the fullness of time gave us to each other. Not God the Father, it was the sisters. This is called The Scissors. Were we concerned with what we wore?
I didn't choose. I wore the junta uniform, a blue dress with a white collar, the hem below the knees.
Even the private schools?
At all Greek schools, the state required the same relinquishment of resistance. The girls wore white socks, white headbands, and their drab dresses, each the same enforced modesty, even when they went to the cinema.
Why?
Not to look different, dissident.
Before Funny Girl or Love Story, the newsreels showed the colonels holding up scissors, cutting the always white ribbons, new hospitals, new roads, new factories, the police in Nazi khaki and olive drab, the black-robed priests sprinkling holy water with sprigs of basil.
Behind the locked school doors,
They locked the school doors.
an arrow hit the mirror.
And your friends, were you suspicious?
Of their families, not of each other.
What did you see in the faces of your friends?
We entered the sea. They couldn't take away the sea, the caves and murmuring waves among the rocks. We practiced butterfly stroke. Flying fish. And then the days of the island when sea glass spelled starshine, a secret glyph among the pebbles, an edifice in miniature you needed to discover. You, us, 24 hours and no direction, feeling weightless as a flying fish, a beauty, not a trophy to eat, not to hold by the tail, the gills painfully open. Then one of the trio of junta conspirators came to the island. The people came to overwhelm the square, to pose and praise. Shopkeepers wanted to be seen snuggling with them, their pictures taken, then printed, framed, and hung alongside the photos of the dictator and JFK. He held up a mason's trowel, emblem of future edifices, scepter for the coronation, the crowd cheering, "Bravo!" and "Live long." My uncles did not join in. They closed their shops and stayed home. That day, I swam for hours in the hallowed sea, not pausing, not letting the spell of my uncle's absence break.
Dark parade on Independence Day. What if the tanks outside our balcony changed to pink and black water beneath them flooded? I'm sorry. What if the tanks outside our body sorry again. Okay. I'm gonna begin again. I'm sorry. I'm stumbling over our words. Dark parade on Independence Day. What if the tanks outside our balcony change to pink and black water, beneath them flooded the streets instead of blood? You left your desk to experience the change, the thunder of the caterpillar treads breaking the boulevard asphalt. The ground shook us all as the parade celebrating our independence demonstrated our lack. No dancing, no regional costumes, no jingling and glinting of jewelry, or none that can be remembered in the maze of terror. The crowd's faces expressionless, but not tone deaf. Not to cheer was strength, disobedience. You stood on the balcony, still anticipating the collapse, the sunset like blown glass, or perhaps like unmined ore when night fell. You were still gambling, still writing in your skilled calligraphy, not hiding your pages carefully enough, sometimes 3 a day, a repetition of raptures you couldn't resist. I think we'll stop there.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I feel as though the curtain raised on a performance on the stage and forgot that it was Zoom. I've gotten used to it too. I'm going to cut down the open mic a little, and we'll come back for a couple of questions after the open mics, but we're talking one short poem per person. And it's not everyone. There are a couple of people who came in too late, and I'm not reading either. So, Mark, would you like to start the open mic off with a poem?
Sure. And for our featured poets, this is a copy of my book that I've just published called From the Anthropocene. This is Camarillo in 1964, and that's 101 Freeway. This is the same view after the Crown Fire in 2017, and your work, your poems on Athens, what we're doing in the world, what we're doing in the world. The name of my book is From the Anthropocene.
Mm.
This is called Cloudburst, and I'm reading this because it's Passover. Violent rain fell from a narrow sky, 10,000 feet above sea level. Thunder was visceral, living. It grumbled. Clouds reverberated. Shock waves moved through rocks. Rain turned to hail. Icy drops gathered on granite and around our feet. Solid crystal on dark earth. I held the space blanket above us, Amy's head tucked, shivering on my shoulders, ice melting on my legs and Amy's feet, cold sheets covering us under our summer blanket. When it broke for a few minutes, we started down the mountain, following the stream where once was a trail. The rain let up, then continued in waves. The ring of 12,000-foot mountains formed a sepia reality in what had been a technicolor world. More rolling bands of thunder lit by occasional electric flashes. This is El Shaddai, the god of the mountain, the one Moses encountered, the one that frightened the tribes into idolatry, the one that made me realize humans are not the caretakers of the garden.
Our next reader is Rose. Rosemary, are you still here?
I know I'm here. I just wasn't mute. I didn't unmute myself. I said
So
I cut it to one poem.
Mhm.
You all know that Cesar Vallejo is the Peruvian poet, and I wrote a poem in his style. I love his poetry. I may well die in Lima on a gray day, in what they call invierno, on a dry day. It doesn't rain in Lima. I will not regret it, but I will mourn. I'll mourn those I leave behind because they loved me, and for that reason they'll miss me. And they will be sad, and I will be in a dimension of spirit and beauty, that is, should I realize that I died. I wonder what they will say about me, that she was mean, that she was good, that she was kind, that she was weird, that she was talented, and that she was dumb. And I won't care at all because I can't hear them. And I won't care because. But perhaps they will be charitable. And some may even have known me. And they will burn me at 1800 Fahrenheit, that is about 1000 centigrade. And I'll weigh about 5 to 8 pounds, and my loved one will mix my ashes with the soft, pregnant earth of the jungle, where I'll soon become a Shumameira, perhaps. That's where he'll sit and write his poems, in my shade.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Good to hear that has morphed a little.
Yes.
Jim?
I am going to inject a little bit of levity into what has been a wonderful reading. I'm going to read a poem called Shrunken White Elephants. I, like many others, at times have been the victim of ignorance combined with inarticulate speech. Much like the man who came into a bookstore searching desperately for a certain style guide, which he said quite angrily he couldn't find online, even though he knew the exact title given him by his college-aged child. When he calmed down enough to tell us what he was searching for, he said, "I'm looking for that bleep reference book that's called The Shrunken White Elephants of Style." When we could breathe again after choking back our laughter, we got the book for him. You know the one I mean.
I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head. The next reader is Hedy.
Sorry. Robbie, can I share screen?
Wait a minute.
Okay. I'm going to share an ekphrastic poem from my latest collection, and this is, let me put it on focus. It's a painting by Remedios Varo titled Disturbing Presence. And I'll just read and show the text. It's the title poem of my latest collection. It's, did you need to see this once more? Disturbing Presence. It inspired a poem titled, Or Did You Ever See the Other Side of Things? Seated at her table, her fingertips run over the knots where branches once grew. Feel the crevices of the aged oak's grain, its porous surface about to peel open, like the pages of a book. She watches wavy lines swirl and Burl's eyes sprout in thread-like tendrils. Does a tree feel pain in its phantom limbs? Could the table remember the carpenter's hand that carved it with love? The many times it was stained and rubbed with oils? Would these hands erase the memory of trees pregnant with bird trills? And what of the movement of her pen, her unanswered questions, the songs she sang to herself? A heavy breath in the nape of her neck rarefies the air. The chair's damask fabric, woven with fleur-de-lis, disintegrates, scattering petals wet with tears. Her open scars exposed, she feels the pull of a body against hers, her hunger unveiled as the moment recedes, merging with other reflections. Thank you.
Thank you, Hedy. Our next reader is Mary.
Okay. Um, this is something that's just one reaction to the world as it is today. It's called Now. The ghost ants won't give up, marching up the walls, circling the drains and the sinks, unfazed by the bug man's repeated efforts to erase them all, while we watch California burn and dig out our sweaters because it's snowing in Florida. The treachery of fire and ice almost enough to distract us from the dire machinery of greed and lust, stomping out a tantrum that aches to end any laws that aim to hold it harmless or responsible, while we try to hold on to hope the blowhard will blow over, undone by its own unregulated spin, and our own brakes fail. The keys won't start, the ignition chokes again, and we get stuck while chaos spins the world senseless down the drain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lindsay, one poem, please, short poem. Lindsay? You're still muted and your camera's off. Are you here? I guess not. Okay. Lavina?
Yes.
Lavina, are you? Okay, I sent you a message earlier that I put you on the open mic for one poem.
I don't have anything ready. Sorry.
Okay,
But that was nice of you.
okay.
Okay, I'll share.
Gary? Oh, there. Go ahead. Oh, did you
You're
have
muted,
something?
Gary, you're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
Computers zipped past my, maybe made it hard to even see the unmute button. Anyway, this poem is in a recent volume called The Senior Class, which I guess is just out from Lamar University Literary Press. It's called Senior Singles, and it's was written a while ago after an older friend. Senior Singles. After you reach a certain age, what you want in a man changes. A man who can drive after dark, that's all you really need, she said. but it helps if he can stand at your side at openings, chat with your friends about art, listen to poetry readings, then drive you back home, but slowly, so you can watch the world go by. No need to speed into the dark.
Get that. Marieta?
I'm here. Oh,
One short
yes,
poem,
yes.
please.
And my poem is published in Sparks of Calliope, entitled Memories. Our love mixed with seaweed, a sweet memory. Sprinkled with salt, it grows between the breeze and the hurricane, the fruit of an inner struggle. The green waves crash in a murmur that cools the warm and ancient sand, limits perception. New tides of change cast our minds back, the courage to exist. In the space between ancientness and nowness, our perfect love is eternal. A song for a dance, an invisible one, in the wave-like movement on the shores of our hearts. We can feel our holy angels, wounded wings, echoes of a distant cry, in every salty breath of prayer and a promise. Between freedom and serfdom, we fathom our dodecahedral geodesic spiritual sphere out. The reality is circumjacent, contiguous eyesight. The voice of God becomes an echo to inhabit the twilight world. Thank you.
Okay, Lindsay, are you here? Would you like to read? I guess not. I guess she skipped out. So I didn't originally sign you up, Ron, because I filled up the list, but a couple of people who were on the list didn't read. So if you want to read one short poem, be my guest.
Okay, sure. This is currently out on a journal called Frazzled Lit. Serenity teaches beauty in a wall of Buddhist sleep. Many go straight to the knowing of why. Strange experiences within are alive and well on earth, despite the second-hand struggles to escape. Wise women and men temporarily defeat their race's past, only to assure a murdered future. Dogs are unique, but not psychic, no matter how much they seem to be and how much we want them to be. Cambodian street life, Nepali imaginations, Skid Row clerics all give detailed instructions on how to get one's prayers answered. It's been assumed by those more intelligent than I that dying is a trip to divine beaches in Hawaii. But that does not cure the anger that hangs in the air, where we breathe it in and find that we can only hope to be more unusual, entertaining, and valuable than a bee's backside. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
Thank you. Well, I'm not going to read today because I would rather have a few questions for our features. If anyone wants to ask any.
I just would like to say that I had this picture of Greece in the late 1960s as a haven for people like, God, how can I forget? The wind is in from Africa.
Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell, and I'm thinking
Cleopatra.
about, right, I'm thinking about Joni Mitchell and, Leonard Cohen hanging out on caves and all this freedom and stuff, and hearing your works about the oppressive nature of the government and the strict culture in which women were subjugated, provided a really great counter picture that, you know, I think brought me back to reality. I've seen the film Z in French, but I never really gave it that much thought because we in the United States, of course, don't really study European history, especially contemporary, in much detail. And I really appreciated your work from a historic standpoint as much as I appreciate the art on your walls. Thank you.
You took me back, in fact, as I said in the chat somewhere, to London in those days because I was married to an Epaminondas, and and I lived your pain from far away. And my brother-in-law, Spartan, couldn't go back home because he married my sister-in-law. And they were both young, and he was supposed to do military service, and he was called a deserter, so he couldn't go back. And I lived all this tragedy through my Greek family. And I was very touched and very moved to hear, first of all, the story told, and to hear you, Liana, in Greek. It brought back a time in my life where my children were small and things were troubled, but we were all right. And I think that what you're talking about today is happening everywhere. It is in fact the story of everywhere. It's happening in the States now. It happened in Germany. It happens now in Turkey. It happens in Hungary. It's absolutely tragic, frightening. The moment we seem to, it's the crab movement, 2 steps forward and definitely 1 step back, if not the same steps back, for women, for freedom, for thought, for intellectuals, for poets, for writers. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. You took me back into a world that I loved.
I did want to say about Joni Mitchell and Leonard Cohen. I mean, if you were not Greek, I mean, Greece was not, it was a tourist destination, but it was nothing like it is now. And even in 1974, Hydra, when I went there, was, you know, touristy. And so, I mean, it wasn't that you weren't aware of the Greek military junta from 67 to 74. It was that, you know, tourism is not all that Greeks are good at, but it, you know, now, what is it, 36 million people come to Greece? That was, I think, a couple of years ago, and they're expecting more. But what I do want to say also is I had the privilege of teaching at the University of Athens in 23 when I was a Fulbrighter. And one of the things about my Greek students is that if I had a question, I mean, I think that Greeks are obsessed with history, and Greeks in the diaspora, maybe even, you know, tremendously so. I don't know a Greek writing a Greek from a Greek Australian Greek American who is a writer who is not obsessed with history. But if I had a question about, you know, what they're about history, they answered it for me. And I'm not putting down my American students, but I think that you're raised with a kind of, we all, if you're Greek, you come from a generationally traumatized people, because the Armenian genocide, which is called the Great Catastrophe in Greece, was a genocide of Greeks and Assyrians too. And so I just, my mother just died, and we've been, you know, going through photos and documents, and it's quite astonishing what we found. But one of the photos was of my grandmother and grandfather from when they were first married. And she was from Constantinople / Istanbul. If you're Greek, you're not supposed, my mother would get angry if I said the word Istanbul, so I'm cognizant of that. But my mother was born on Pringipos. And so my grandmother and grandfather in this photo, they're in Vienna. And my grandmother was studying piano. My grandfather was the director of the Red Cross. He was a doctor. And my grandmother had an expression of vulnerability and hope. And the smile on her face, I never saw in her whole life. And she lived to be 96.
Hmm.
And so this is where and I don't think that this is unique to Greeks, but I do think that Greeks are extremely stubborn and defiant. And so during the military junta, people were still defiant. And I don't mean to give a lecture. My grandmother said 9 to the Germans when they tried to take the food from, food from them, because that's what the Germans did. They took all the food, and there was a terrible famine. People were dropping dead in the streets of Athens. And I wrote that in my first proposal Fulbright proposal, and I sent it to one of my professors from Berkeley, and he said, "This is a great proposal, except for the part about your grandmother saying 9 to the Germans. No one said 9 to the Germans." And I thought, you don't know. It's like, yes, they did. And I think,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. And I think that that's something that we need. There's a holiday in Greece. It's called Ochi Day. That means no day. And I think that we need that holiday here.
I just got a comment because my history is my family is French from Normandy, and of course lived under the SS for 4 horrible years. And my grandmother lived to be 99 also. But I think that that's what's passing now, that generational, those of us who were raised by people who knew the World War, who knew the juntas, it's like that whole era is passing along with our language. And now it's coming back because, like in Hungary, in Germany, in France, in the United States, people have forgotten why we walked away from nationalism after World War II, because that whole generation that populated the world is dying, and now we're left with people who don't remember it.
And that's why we write.
Yes.
I'm optimistic about Europe. I mean, despite the fact that if Ukraine falls, then we know what's next. I mean, there's resistance among the leaders, and I was reading an article in the New York Times about how, Europe they've been saying for years that Europe would become a superpower and is positioning itself. Now, I'm not, I don't approve of superpowers in general, but I think it's good to have one continent united, and ready to say, no to American imperialism.
Amen.
Yeah. Well,
oh, I got to ask one more thing, Akili. I fell in love with your book, and I'm going to order a copy, but I would love to get one autographed. Is there a way that if I sent something to your Facebook or to your email, I could have an autographed copy?
Send me a Facebook message, and I will respond with all my contact information, including my street address.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marc. It's lovely.
I have to go back to Peru. Thank you so much. This was absolutely wonderful.
It was wonderful, and thank you for all you said, and thank you all for your marvelous poems. I felt like there's a kind of conflict between wanting to be present and listen and wanting to write in the chat how wonderful it is. So thank you.
Yes.
I was so moved by all of you, and yeah, so thank you.
This
Thank
was
you. It's
wonderful.
been such
Thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much. Very
Bye.
precious. Thank you so much, all of
And
you.
welcome back anytime.
Yasu.
Yes.
Hedy,
Καληνύχτα και ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Hedy, oh, she's gone. Okay. Kali Nikta.
Καληνύχτα. Να είστε